If a little green is good, more is even better. Now, back to Green is Good with John Shigarian and Mike Brady.
Welcome back to Green is Good. And Mike, Seth Goldman again proves to be a green rock star.
What a cool guy, and just so humble. And I really like that rap song he was talking about that his son did.
I loved it too. And, again, drink honest tea, plant the tree. That's a simple message for all of us out there to support Seth's great brand. And if you'd like the beverage half of Green is Good today, Mike, our listeners are going to love the second half. It's the food half of Green is Good. And we've got on the second half of the show Greg Dollarhyde, the CEO of Veggie Grill. So everyone should listen to this commercial and then come on back to Green is Good.
If a little green is good, more is even better. Now, back to Green is Good with John Shigarian and Mike Brady.
Welcome back to Green is Good, and we're so honored to have with us today hospitality and restaurateur rock star Greg Dollarhyde. Greg, welcome to Green is Good.
Mike and John, hi, how are you doing?
We are great today in Fresno, California, and you're down in the Manhattan Beach area?
Yeah, our headquarters are in Manhattan Beach, and all our restaurants are located in Los Angeles.
Well, no, Greg, we have you on today because you're the CEO of Veggie Grill, and we're going to talk a lot about that on today's show. But we want to talk a little bit about your fascinating journey throughout your career and how you've got to where you are today. Your resume, I could spend all 23 minutes, literally sharing with our great listeners out there your amazing resume, but I want you to share it instead. Your journey includes TGIF's, Pizza Hut, and Baja Fresh before you ever got to become the CEO of Veggie Grill. Share with us a little bit about that journey.
Well, I started out in Southern California washing dishes and prepping food like a lot of people in the restaurant business. And I know a lot of CEOs in restaurant chains that started out exactly the same way. They just, got into the business, liked it, got bitten by the bug. Growing up from there, I ran kitchens and ran restaurants as general manager and had a chance to go work for a chain called Victoria Station a long time ago. When I ran into one of the founders, he said, you can come work for us, but I think you got to go back to school because I hadn't finished college. And so they talked me into going to Cornell, and I went to the Cornell Hotel School and the Cornell Business School. And after that, my horizons really opened up, my eyes really opened up. I was just I grew up pretty much on the beach in Southern California, and going back to Ithaca, New York with my sandals, and I learned a lot about what business was about. So I was able to take that experience in the restaurant business as well as the training from Cornell and landed as the assistant to the president of TGI Fridays when it had 19 restaurants.
Wow.
The reason I went there was because it was doing something no one was doing. It was huge volumes, very popular, and the Fern Bar business was a big hit. It was back in that sort of magical period in the United States after birth control and before AIDS. So you can imagine TGI Fridays back in those days was just one of the places to be.
Yeah.
And so that's how it started. And then I just stayed in the business the whole time and always tried to create value and look for opportunities for growth. I really loved the growth business, and that's where you have the most fun. You watch people, build their careers and build their fortunes in growth. So.
How far did you take TGIF? Yeah, how far, Greg, how far did you take TGIF?
I'm sorry?
How far did you take it? How many locations when you exited TGIF?
When I left TGI Fridays, we had 125 locations on its way to being in, I think, 40 different countries and the like. Wow. There's been many successive presidents after that.
Wow. And then Pizza Hut. What did you do over at Pizza Hut, and why did that add to the great experience that you have?
Well, at Pizza Hut, what I learned there was just throughput. I worked in delivery. I was in general manager and vice president of new concept development for Pizza Hut. And what that meant was trying to get pizza in different places, like in stadiums and malls and drive-through units. We were testing a lot of different formats for Pizza Hut. But the most successful format that I was responsible for was the airports. We had just started going to airports with Pizza Hut. Now, it's hard to go to an airport and not find a Pizza Hut, the personal pan pizzas. So that program we were rolling out with Marriott, which was host at the time, and then also trying to figure out whether you can do little pizzas in a stadium in a sleeve and take it back to your seat and enjoy pizza. So that's rapid throughput when you're in a stadium. When you get you're at halftime, here you go. You better have the food ready and get it moving. So. That was a great experience for me. And then also delivery units where you're dealing with a whole different animal where you get pizzas out in 12 minutes and get them in a car and get them to someone's house in from hopefully 30 minutes from the time they call. So I learned a lot about systems and throughput, and sort of like a big at the time PepsiCo was a 200,000 employee company, so
Wow.
there was a lot to learn.
Wow. And then you ended up at Baja Fresh.
Yeah, we bought Baja Fresh with some financial partners on the East Coast. I led the team to buy Baja from Jimmy Maglos when he had founded it 10 years before, taking a third trust deed out on his house and a loan from his mom to start the first Baja Fresh. It's one of those great success stories. And
wow.
I met Jimmy in 1997. He wanted to get some money off the table, so we bought 80% of the company from him in '98. And then there was dilution along the way, of course, as we kept raising money to build more stores. So we went from 30 restaurants to about 270 in 4 years. And then we ended up selling it to Wendy's. When we were getting ready to go public, Wendy's made an offer we couldn't really refuse, all cash.
Good for you.
$285 million. So
and
it was time to let them take the reins.
So and again, a great brand. My kids love that place. My wife and I love it. You could eat very healthy there. So now we're seeing sort of the migration in your journey. So how then? Start sharing with our listeners, please, Greg, the Veggie Grill story and how you ended up to be the CEO. Obviously, you really are a hospitality rock star. So talk about meeting the founders and how you saw that this is the future of food.
That's one segment. One thing I love a million things about Veggie Grill that are fantastic. Besides the guys who founded it, but basically in the early '90s, I started seeing that the restaurant business there was this new way of eating called good food fast. It wasn't called fast casual back then. And what it was a way to, unlike fast food, QSR food would drive through and kind of heat lampy kind of food and the like. It wasn't really good back in the late 80s, early 90s. And then you had casual theme like Fridays and Applebee's and all that. There were sit-down restaurants with hostesses and waiters. There was this way of eating that was coming around where you go into a counter, get much better food than fast food, but not have to deal with servers and bartenders and hostesses and all that. In a sit-down restaurant. So this fast casual thing really got me interested in the business because it's smaller footprints, less investment, but you still have great food and a lot of satisfied customers. So that's what Baja Fresh was, fast casual. Company I just was running, Zoe's Kitchen, fast casual. Chipotle, one of the most popular restaurant formats today in America, is fast casual.
Right.
And so Veggie Grill is the same thing. Fantastic food,
right.
Fast casual, but with a really important twist, and that is that this food is incredibly delicious and indulgent, like rich, but it's 100% plant-based.
Wow.
I mean, 100% plant-based. No butter, no eggs, no animal fats, no trans fats, no high fructose corn syrup, nothing. All really clean food, and so I got introduced to Pillin and Kevin about a year and a half ago, because I'm always out looking at restaurants, especially in fast casual.
Sure.
And some friends of ours introduced us, and I went down to their second restaurant they had down in El Segundo.
Yep.
And was blown away by the food. Wow, this is amazingly good for the fact that it's 100% plant-based. Because when you think of vegetarian, vegan, or plant-based food, you think of sort of bland, mushy bowls of food and kind of like, a lot of salads and a lot of that kind of stuff. But this was burgers, fries, fried chicken sandwich formats, beautiful, salads that would be the envy of Cheesecake Factory. And it was all in this 2,500 square foot restaurant. When they were cranking it out of this little tiny kitchen, I was blown away. So of course my investment in other restaurateur juices got going, and I said, well, what are you guys doing with this? And they invited me on to their board of advisors
right
last summer. And I made a small investment in the company. They wouldn't let me make a very big investment because they didn't need the kind of money.
Right.
Then this winter they invited me onto the board of directors, and I knew they were talking about growing, taking this thing to the next level. And I said, well, what are you guys going to do for a CEO? And they said, well, it's funny, we were going to ask you the same question. What are you doing? And so, conversations kept going, and pretty soon we realized we could strike a deal that everybody would win. And I'm really excited about what the future of this brand looks like.
Wow. And I'm really excited for the country too. If for those who just joined us, we were so honored to have Greg Dollarhyde on. He's the CEO of Veggie Grill, and Mike and I have our webs open. If you've got your iPad or your laptop in front of you, open up to their great website, veggiegrill.com. I've got the menu in front of me, Mike. I don't know about you, but I'm starving looking at this amazing menu here.
That's why I've been letting you do all the talking, John. I've been trying to not drool too much. Seriously, Greg, I'm looking this over. Number one, I'm looking at the price point. Your price point is right on, partner. I mean, with any restaurant, I mean, I'm looking at it, and it's really right there, like any restaurant you would go to. But what's amazing to me, I look at these chicken dishes first, the picture of the chicken salad and all of that, and I'm thinking, wait a second, vegetarian chicken. And I'm looking to see how it's made, just a brief description, then go on to the menu. Not only Santa Fe crispy chicken, but you've also got the beef lovers taken care of. If they want to start to migrate towards a vegetarian way of eating, you've got carne asada there, the all-American burger. You've got veggie cheeseburgers, chipotle barbecue. This looks amazing. And like John, I'm really hungry, and I wish we were sitting and doing this this radio show inside your restaurant.
Exactly.
Well, someday, if you guys want to do a live remote, we'll empty the place and you can fire it up, and we'll make you everything on the menu.
We might take you up on that. So don't, we're not that far away from you. Honestly, this looks amazing. So talk about this. Vegan food, it's becoming the rage from Bill Clinton to Oprah Winfrey. Everyone's talking about vegan food. Now, I love eating vegan food, but share with our listeners, what's the biggest myth, Greg? What's the biggest hurdle that you have to overcome when you talk about plant-based vegan food?
Yeah. Well, first off is the guys. I mean, educated women who are worried about how they look and how they feel, they get it right away. They come try us. They're the early adopters. They're the first ones. When we open up a restaurant in a new market, they're the first ones in, and they know exactly what they want. They want an all-hail kale salad. They want the lighter food. They jump right on it, and they tell their friends. So when you open up a restaurant, a Veggie Grill for the first time, you see a lot of women between the ages of 25 and 55, usually pretty well educated or very hip. They're the first ones in.
Gotcha.
Then what happens is they start realizing that there's food there for the guys. And the guys are typically like, vegetarian food, I don't want to eat a bunch of brown rice and sautéed vegetables. I want something that'll stick to my ribs. I'm hungry.
Right.
And so what's amazing, this is what really got me most excited about Veggie Grill, besides I like the food. It's very indulgent and delicious. But what got me excited about it was I was in these restaurants, and these restaurants have everybody in them from cops to yogis. I mean, you've got these big burly policemen in there. They're having a burger or a chicken sandwich, and they don't know that it's 100% plant-based.
Wow.
We don't bother them with that information. They don't ask. They just eat the food and come and go. But you have the yoga crowd, and those people, they're seeking out vegetarian, vegan-based food. But the myth, I think, that we're trying to overcome is that, listen, everybody, this isn't just bland, mushy, sautéed vegetables and salads and bowls. And it's not, sometimes the vegetarian restaurants are slow and they're expensive. So we try to make this fast and affordable. So you also get service in the dining room that you would get in any other fast casual, and even a little more. People come by and refill your teas, they take your plates, but there's no tipping. So you got the combination of delicious food, fair price, great crowd of people, and a menu that really works across the spectrum with people who are vegans and vegetarians, over to, like I say, from cops to yogis. They're in there.
So we're looking at this menu here: chillin' chicken, veggie steak, Too Good tempeh. I'm starving here. And so talk about, is your chicken your biggest seller, and what's the secret to the chicken?
Yeah, the biggest seller is the Santa Fe chicken sandwich, and that's what that's like the gateway drug, so to speak,
Nice.
to Veggie Grill. Is you walk in and people. It's funny because people will. We'll be in active centers, like near a Whole Foods or something like that, and people will sort of stumble in and start looking at the menu and go, you can tell they don't know if they're really going to stay or not or whatever. So we try to intercept them. And we say, now, I know this kind of looks like maybe it's complicated, but here, let's make it easy for you. Just have a Santa Fe crispy chicken sandwich and have the sweetheart fries, which are made out of sweet potatoes.
Oh, man.
And if you don't like it, it's on us. So, and everybody takes us up on it. No one doesn't take us up on that offer of a free lunch if they don't like it. And we buy so few free lunches. I mean, because people taste it. And I worked at dining rooms a lot. I love working in the restaurants during busy lunches and talking to the customers. And I've had more people that you wouldn't believe stop me and go, okay, I thought you guys were a vegan restaurant. This chicken, where are you getting this chicken from? Why is this vegan? And you got to tell them, well, it's really not. It's really not chicken. It really is made from vegetable proteins and in a very special way. It's marinated with our quote-unquote special recipe, secret recipe. And then we batter it with a certain kind of batter. We're using coconut milk and the like. And, it just works. It just tastes good.
Well, it's amazing. How many times have we heard, go ahead, try it. It tastes like chicken. Well, in this case, it really does.
That's right.
Greg, you're right now in West Hollywood, LA's Farmer Market, Santa Monica, El Segundo, Rolling Hills, Irvine. You've got a couple locations. You're a guy with a big vision. You've done this over. You're a serial entrepreneur with massive success in your rearview mirror, but with big dreams again. Where can you take this now?
Well, we're going to keep building our base in Los Angeles, but clearly there's a lot of this kind of eating up and down the West Coast, all the way from Del Mar to Seattle.
Sure.
People are eating more healthfully, and it's going to be. I want to make this, and this is going to sound really cocky, so I want to be careful. But I think we can be the West Coast phenomenon for this kind of food,
sure.
Because again, it's very approachable. It's burgers and fries, and sandwiches and salads that you recognize. When you see them, you'll taste them, you'll love the flavors, but you'll recognize it. So it's not weird. Right. So I think it's going to catch on pretty well over the West Coast. So that's going to be our focus right now, to stay in this time zone and probably Scottsdale and then that market. Then I think the next market would be the Northeast, because there is a lot of demand. We get a lot of requests. When are you going to open in this city? When are you coming to? When are you coming to? When are you coming to? And we do get, even though we're 6 little restaurants on the West Coast, we do get, when are you coming to D.C., when are you coming to New York?
Boston, New York, I'm sure,
And my two favorite markets on the East Coast are, Manhattan and Washington, D.C.
Awesome.
People are educated, they're hip, they're forward-thinking, they're on the move, and that's our kind of customer.
Greg, we have a picture of you here in the studio, and our listeners can see it up on our website, GreenIsGood.fm. You look like a healthy guy, but we love CEOs that just not only talk a great talk, and obviously you're extraordinarily articulate, but walk a great walk. Talk a little bit about the evolution of your own diet. Are you now a vegan?
Yeah, I'm a 99.9% vegan, and it was funny. It started as a challenge when I started talking to Kevin and TK Pillen. They said, well, have you ever tried to eat vegan? And I said, nah, I eat healthfully. I eat a lot of fish. I don't eat a lot of, heavy fat-laden foods.
Yeah.
But no, I'm not a vegan. My daughter's a vegan, but I never done it.
Right.
And they said, well, you ever thought I'd just try it? I said, okay. They sort of threw the gauntlet down. I said, okay, fine. I gave it 6 weeks. And so I ate 100% totally vegan for 6 weeks. And I went down to the South Pacific for kind of a surfing week and came back. And, I'd lost some weight. I still had my energy. It was funny because I expected to, miss the protein. However, as you start doing more research into this, you start realizing there's plenty of protein in plant-based eating. But what's more important is there's plenty of nutrients. It's a much more nutrient-rich way of eating. 100 calories of a kale salad is a lot different than 100 calories of bacon.
Right.
Even though the same still 100 calories.
Right.
So I started to, sort of get into it. And then it started becoming a game. Well, how can I eat vegan? Where can I go? I'm in an airport in Atlanta.
Yeah.
What am I going to eat in Atlanta and it's vegan? Where am I going to go? How can I, figure this out besides just having French fries? Because they're vegan, But
right.
So it started to become, like I said, more of a game, then more of a way of eating. And then our food guy, Ray White, who is really, he's a food shaman as far as I'm concerned. He's been doing this for 16, 17 years and just plant-based. He said something to me that really caught my attention. It was like, the more you eat this way, the more you want to eat this way. Your body actually starts to crave it.
Yeah.
And I'll be damned, he's right. It starts to happen that way. So I'm not going to say everybody has to. I mean, most people I know want to eat, in this kind of a healthful way once in a while, but mainly people want enjoyment. People, food is one of the last things in life that you can really just sit down and have it your way.
Right.
And eat it and satisfy and enjoy yourself and enjoy it with friends. And so we don't proselytize. We don't say, your other choices aren't as good a choice as this choice. We just say, this is a choice. And for me, it's been a choice that through Veggie Grill, I've been exposed to a lot more ways to eat plant-based. And I'm not missing anything.
That's awesome. And it looks like, one of your taglines here on your website is the perfect indulgence. And speaking of indulgence, I have a big sweet tooth. And I see here carrot cake, chocolate pudding, chocolate chip cookies. How good are these desserts, and how do you make them without eggs and butter?
Yeah, that's where Ray White comes in, the food magician. By way of a story, I had my girlfriend's party. I had a birthday party for her last summer, and I brought Veggie Grill's carrot cake in. And they can make it either in flat, small pieces that they use on a day-to-day basis, or they can make these great big cakes that you can use for a catered event or something like that. So I got a couple of these great big cakes, and there's about 50, 60 people there, and we started cutting up this cake, handing it around, and I didn't tell anybody it was plant-based. And everybody loved it. Oh, this is so good. Where'd you get this? Blah, blah, blah. And then I started telling, you know what? This is vegan carrot cake. And people look at you like, right, no way. And the way the company does it is it's a way of using tofu for the carrot cake, tofu and natural vegetable oils, and evaporated cane juice instead of sugar. And we use agave syrups instead of honey, because honey isn't vegan. And so they have found ways to blend these ingredients in a way. And tofu it's amazing the amount of products that are coming out now that are plant-based that are so close to the real thing, like tofuti, cream cheese, and things like that. So we're able to now have those ingredients at our disposal that 10, 15 years ago, they weren't even around.
Right.
So we stay in touch with the manufacturers, and we're working always with a couple of manufacturers to find ways to improve it. But that's how you do it. It's natural vegetable oils, tofus. What you can do with soybeans now is just frankly amazing, and so we use all of our soybeans soybean products don't have any GMO and that kind of stuff.
Right. Greg, we're down to the last minute and a half or so, and I just want to ask one last question. Talk about how Veggie Grill is good for the planet, besides good for our tummies.
Well, a couple ways. One is in our business, like we use all biodegradable plastic bags, and all of our takeout materials comes from recycled materials or recyclable. The floors in the restaurants are made out of sustainable bamboo. When we serve our wine, we don't use bottles. We have these tanks that get refilled, so we don't have to add to the landfill with just a bunch of bottles. In a couple of our restaurants, we have people that come by and pick up our rice bran oil that we use for frying the fries and the like, and they use it in their car. So we try to do stuff like that, but so that's more like a local kind of at the store level.
Sure.
But on a bigger level, eating plant-based is much more sustainable than livestock. I mean, you know what's going on in Brazil with the rainforest. They're clearing the rainforest to graze cattle. There's massive amounts of petrochemicals being used to raise livestock. Methane gases are dramatically higher from livestock, and it's not really, in the long run, on this planet, it's not a sustainable way to live. Because we're going to spend way too much economic inputs, to make and grow that kind of food versus growing sustainable plant-based food. And so it's like 10 times more efficient on the land to grow the same amount of protein for plant-based than livestock. So we're not busting anybody's choices. I'll tell you, in the old days, boy, big old steak and a bottle of Cabernet, yum. However, when we have 7, 8, 9 billion people on the planet, we're going to have to be more creative.
Well, perfect. And, Greg, we're going to have you back on because we know that you're going to grow this amazing brand, Veggie Grill, like you've grown all the other brands you've touched before. And for all our listeners out there, go to Greg's website, veggiegrill.com. Find out where there's a location near you right now in Southern California, but soon in a city coming to you soon when Greg brings them there. Good foods fast. Veggie Grill, veggiegrill.com. Greg Dollarhyde, you're a hospitality and restaurateur rock star, but now you're also a visionary ecopreneur and truly living proof that green is good.
Thanks, guys.
This program will be available for downloading in a couple of days from our station's website, keyword podcast. Thanks for listening, and join us again next week at the same time for another edition of Green is Good.